this might take some time. Hey guys, and welcome back to another Random Distractions home theater update. And as you saw in the title, I recently upgraded to a LG C1 77-inch, so I'm actually not on the island, just here in my living room. This was actually a birthday gift from my wife. It was either this or some speakers, and since I'm actually saving up to get some different speakers, we went with the TV instead. Some things that I like, first of all, the size. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a difference, but actually once it was in, it was pretty noticeable that it was much bigger than the 65-inch Sony A7iii that we used to have over here, which that one actually moved to our bedroom now. But it really helps with like the immersion of when you're watching a movie. Our family sat together here this past weekend and we watched Free Guy on Disney Plus, and it was really like amazing, you know, having this screen size be right in front of us. We only sit probably about 8 feet away or so, so it does look pretty big. It's not like a huge projector screen or you know, like a 120-inch screen, but bumping up to that 77 really does seem to make a difference. The other thing that I like about it is the motion. It's actually a little bit smoother, it seems like, than the Sony. I noticed it when I was watching a clip from I'm trying to remember, I think it was maybe Star Wars Rebels. There was a ship that lifted off and started flying away, and the motion just seemed to be a little bit smoother than what it was than the Sony. Not like by a huge margin, but enough where I'm like, you know, I can kind of notice that it's, you know, a little bit better. The other thing I like about it is that it's still an OLED TV. So despite being a little bit bigger, it's still an OLED and the contrast is still there. Colors look great. In our living room, we do have a large window, so we try to keep that closed. And so it's, you know, it's not super dark, but it's dark enough where, you know, it's not an issue. And even if the windows were opened, I think the television is bright enough in this space that, you know, it still comes through really well. The things that I don't like about it, which aren't very much, is first of all, and it's really not that big a deal for me, but it's the sound. And my wife, you know, she doesn't really notice things like this, but she usually will not, you know, turn on the receiver and, you know, have the whole home theater thing going. She just wants to turn on the TV and start watching a show. And I noticed that when she was watching her shows, that the sound on there was a little bit thin, I guess, and a little bit boxy, specifically with like voices. They sounded like they were, you know, talking like this, sort of. And I didn't notice that as much with the Sony. So the Sony seems to have a little bit better sound than what the LG one does. And I know, you know, it's a pretty big TV, so you would think it would have a little bit bigger speakers, but it didn't sound as present as what the Sony does. And maybe I just need to play around with the settings or what have you on there to see if I can make that sound a little bit better. But that is one thing that I noticed pretty quickly when we were watching it. And on a little side note, I have the Raspberry Pi on the back of this with some LED strips, and I've been noticing some flickering whenever we're watching shows and stuff like that. It'll, you know, it changes colors to what's on the screen, but every now and then it'll flicker just a little bit, and it's pretty random. It doesn't seem to be pretty consistent, or I don't notice it being any consistent or anything. So what I'm going to try to do is, I do have a little bit longer cables than what I would like in the back there. So I bought some different HDMI cables that are a little bit shorter, and hopefully, you know, maybe that's part of the problem, because maybe it's a handshake issue or something like that, because it hasn't done it recently, but every now and then when I turn on the Xbox, the Anthem GUI normally is gray, but sometimes it'll show up red, and I think that may be part of what's happening, is that there's an issue with the HDMI talking. And of course I have, you know, the Anthem is connected has an HDMI cable that's coming out to the 4K splitter, and then the 4K splitter goes to the TV, So there is a couple of connections there. So I'm hoping that maybe by replacing the HDMI cables, that'll help with that. All right, so that's all I really had for this video. I would definitely appreciate a like. If you have any questions about the LG C1, let me know down in the comments and I'll see if I can figure it out for you. I'm still kind of new at it, so I still haven't looked really deeply into the menus to see what all it can do. So I may still make some changes to it and things like that. But definitely having the bigger size is just gets us that one step closer to immersion in the home theater space, and a little bit closer to that complete home theater experience. And as I mentioned, I'm saving up for some different speakers, so maybe someday soon I'll have those and be able to share what that is with y'all. But until now, I would definitely appreciate a like I said, subscribe, and make sure to hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when the next one drops. And until then, I hope you have a good one.